Hello, viewers at home. Welcome to Global Culture. My name is Akinwale Ojomo. We are so happy to have you today on another interesting special edition. And we have some fantastic gentlemen here today who will be discussing with you about some of their experiences, especially in African countries, culture, and even around here as well, regarding their work in Washington, D.C. I'm going to quickly introduce you to Dr. Fadi Foster. He's the president of Felix Stokes.
Yes.
That's it, right?
You said it right.
Okay, I just make sure. Okay, welcome to our program.
Thank you.
Thank you. And next to him is actually Mr. Papa Sam.
Pap Sam.
Pap Sam. Welcome again to the program.
Thanks.
By the way, he's the director of the African and Freedom Endowment programs at Felix Stokes. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Okay, without much ado, we're going to start and go straight into the business.
Okay.
Can you tell us much about the organization, your role over the time?
Sure. Phelps Stokes was created 100 years ago.
I see that.
And it was created as a result of an endowment created by the will of Carolyn Phelps Stokes.
Okay.
When she died, she gave close to $1 million for an endowment to do several things. One, to work on the needs of education for Africans in Africa,
Okay.
Africans in the diaspora, American Indians, and what we call deserving whites. Now,
Oh, wow.
deserving whites were the white Appalachian citizens of the United States, very poor people in Virginia, West Virginia. The second thing was to work on promoting racial harmony.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we started 100 years ago, and we have a very rich history. We did the first studies of education for Anglophone Africa.
Wow. Interesting.
So we did the 3 commissions, one for West Africa, one for South Africa, one for East Africa.
Wow.
And those commissions made recommendations to the British Colonial Society. And that was the beginning of elementary and secondary education for Anglophone Africa.
Wow.
From there, we worked to identify outstanding students, to make sure they finished high school, and then we brought them to the United States.
Wow.
2 of our most famous students were Kwame Nkrumah
Okay.
and Dr. Ezekwe.
Oh, wow. That's a huge lesson.
So we have a very long history in Africa, a lot of work in South Africa, particularly during the anti-apartheid struggle.
Right, right.
So education has really been our focus, but we say education and leadership. In the United States, we did a lot to create American Indian tribal colleges.
Okay.
And we fought very hard to change the policy of the federal government towards American Indians, because up until 1933, the federal policy was cultural genocide. Indians were not allowed to speak their language.
Wow.
They were harassed. And we fought, along with other people, to say they had the right for their own culture. And that led to education and training. So our work in Latin America now and in the Caribbean, throughout the African diaspora,
Right.
focuses on education and leadership development.
Right.
Because we realize that it's the leaders who are going to make the biggest difference.
Absolutely. Yes, yes.
And we tend to focus on leadership among groups in any society that are at the margins.
Okay.
We know in every society there's the elite,
Okay.
and then there's the people who are forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
We tend to focus on the people who are forgotten.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. Secondly, we are known for making sure that we don't impose our thoughts on the people we're working with. It has to be a partnership, which begins with the question,
Okay.
how may I be of service to you?
Hold that thought, and we're going to come back to that, Dr.
Sure.
Foster, and we're going to talk to Mr. Pap, right? Pape Sam.
Pap. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, talk to us especially about your role with this organization.
Thank you. I'm the director of the Africa programs and the Freedom Endowment. And what we do, like just Dr. Foster said, we're focusing on Africa. And one of the main things that we do is, or we are known for, is the approach. Like what he said, we don't impose any idea to people we're working with. It's pretty much what we're doing is a collaboration, it's a synergy, it's a co-production to help those people or to work with them so they can achieve the change they seek for themselves, not the change that we seek for ourselves.
Right.
So I'm running that division or department, and actually we are in 30 countries where we have what we call global ambassadors.
Okay.
And the global ambassadors are Africans themselves that have been doing a lot of work on the ground and have their own programs that they identify or initiated, and just Phelps-Stock come to support and work with them so they can become ambassadors of Phelps-Stock, of course, but also ambassadors of their own programs to see how they can share their programs with other ambassadors within other African countries and other Africans
That's
around the world.
excellent, because we like to talk more about that. That's very critical. I know that's one of the fascinating programs, actually, that make Global Culture to reach out to you. So back to Dr. Foster, you mentioned 100 years, a century of collaboration, of working in those countries. And you mentioned some fascinating names. Kwame Nkrumah was the president of Ghana.
Yes.
Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe
Yes.
of Nigeria as well.
Yes, yes.
So when you look back 100 years, how far have you been able to really achieve your goals in those different countries?
Well, you know, there's an African expression that says, a monkey in the eye of its mother is a gazelle.
Okay. And to our viewers at home, we need to interpret that.
It means that the child could be very, very ugly, but in the eyes of the mother, is the most beautiful baby in the world.
Absolutely.
So when you ask me how I see our progress in Africa,
Okay.
I say, well, we've done, you know, we could have done better,
okay.
but we've done very great things.
Very great things.
Just look at the number of Africans who have gotten education, who have gone on to make major contributions to knowledge and society. Many of them have left Africa. We need them to stay connected.
All right.
But I can say that we have great pride for our work.
Okay.
Now, personally, I am a Pan-Africanist.
Okay.
And of course, that is what Nkrumah, Azikiwe, and so many others were pushing. I'm very disappointed when I see tensions and fighting, often among people in the same tribe, the same clan, but they are this country or that country. And I really would like to promote more unity, sharing, and working together. So some years have been good, some years not so good.
Right.
But I'm optimistic, particularly when I look at the youth. And you can ask Mr. Sam, he just came back from a major conference in Benin
Okay.
with rural youth leaders.
Interesting.
And they were extraordinary. So when I read about them and listen to them,
Right.
I'm very optimistic about the future. So I hope that's an adequate answer to your question.
And as they say, I mean, the future actually starts now. And
Yes.
and talking to him, just came back from Republic of Benin,
Benin.
right? Benin Republic.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's actually in West Africa for our viewers at home. Tell us, expatiate more on this conference. What was the goal, and of course, for you attending as the director of this organization, what is it that you want to really achieve?
We achieve a lot. And in regard to that, I will say that we achieved 3 things, because everything was run by the youth, and that's the first thing we achieved. Phelps-Stock was the main organizer of this event in collaboration with IFAD, which is the International Fund for Agricultural Development. We had other partners also from Brazil, from Colombia, from Holland, and from Africa and African governments. So the main goal of this conference, which is the Global Youth Innovation Conference, was pretty much to bring young Africans and young Afro-descendants from all over the world to come together and share their culture, their experiences, share their knowledge in regard to entrepreneurship, leadership, innovation, and agribusiness.
Wow, interesting.
So there were some good businesses that happened there. For example, there is one young lady who has a farm doing cultivating pineapple.
Okay.
And there is also another one in Benin.
Okay.
You might know also the Songhai Center, which is already in Nigeria and other African countries. So there is a connection there where they decided to see how they can work together to produce more pineapple and send it to Syria, because one of our participants also came from Syria, where they're going to sell it. So that's a good business that happened there through just sharing experience. Another objective that we achieved was the platform. They have a virtual platform where any young entrepreneur but you have to be an innovative entrepreneur in Africa or around the world, but coming from an Afro descent community, you can go there and share your ideas and share your project, and big corporates or businesses will try to find you and see how they can support you. And the third one, and I think the most important goal that we achieved was they came up with the idea of starting what they will call the Global Youth Innovation Fund. Because what they're saying is they already know their problems. They have the solutions. And there have been so many conferences around the world about youth, about youth innovation. But what's really missing right now is getting resources to implement those projects. And they have organizations like Felstock who behind them ready to support them in terms of leadership, connecting them with resources like IFAD, also ready to see how they can provide some fund to support them. So it was very excellent.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, go ahead.
The most significant thing about this conference, and there were, how many, 50 countries?
50 countries.
50 countries participating, is that it was run entirely by young people.
Wow.
They were the speakers, the facilitators, conference organizers.
Powerful.
And you find a lot of old people like me who say, well, yes, we must support the young people and train them, but we never seem to trust them. Okay, here's a situation in which we trusted them.
Wow.
And they exceeded. They were responsible, everything worked, and you can go on Google and eventually on our website, you can see for yourself. These are young people who organized the conference.
Just by the way, just to let you know, we're going to have the name of your link, as part of the credits. So people, our viewers at home, will be able to see your website, and that way they can check out specifically that.
And they'll see these young people.
Absolutely.
And so that tells you that maybe the problem is more with the older people than the younger people.
I wish you can say that over and over again, but in terms of the commitment of your organization, is it the first time of this conference, and how do you want to sustain it? Because it's very critical that we talk about that sustainability, not only something that's going to fizzle away. We have this energy, these innovations, in different ways. How do you want to really sustain this?
Yeah, Dr. Fast already touched on that, because I'm going to just step back a little bit and tell you, we design a program started from the end of the program, which is the sustainability part. That's why we have our slogan pretty much in the Africa department and Felstock is the 3 S's, which is synergy, sustainability, and success story. Now, going back to your question, how are we going to sustain it? Like he said, everything was designed, run by the young people themselves. It was a 7-month process where we identify all the needs through questionnaires, form, and the program was designed around their own needs, not us. And the day we started the conference, we had what we call the Youth Advisory Group, all young people. They were the facilitators, the panelists, the organizers, they ran everything. And those members of the Youth Advisory Group, they are 20. They're the one now making sure that everything happens, that this conference will not be one more conference like other conference, but a different conference that will make sure we implement all the recommendations. They already have their action plan, what they expect from themselves as young people, what they expect from the partners, Felstock and others, what they expect from the government, and they already have a time frame and timeline and everything, and the partners are ready to support them. So now it's up to the young people to make this happen, and they are very committed and they are very ready to. They're already planning a meeting in December where they can evaluate and measure how things are going so far.
Okay, interesting. I like the 3 S's. Talk about the synergy, talk about the sustainability and the successful stories. Dr. Foster, I know 100 years is a long time. Successful stories.
Yes.
Aside from what he has mentioned, has there been any view about how culture affects education? Can you explain on that a little bit?
How culture affects education.
And leadership.
And leadership. Well, first of all, I mean, there are many definitions of culture, but one way of understanding the concept of culture is that it is made up of a number of ideas, rules, that allows you to replicate yourself. Okay? So whether it's beliefs in gods or art or whatever, it is the culture that gives you the intellectual framework. Education, the word education comes from the Latin word to educe, to bring forth that which is already there. One of the ways in which you bring forth that which is already there is to make sure that the culture is supportive of that process.
Absolutely.
So therefore, I have to learn your culture if I can find a way to teach you how to educe. Now, maybe that sounds too theoretical,
Okay.
but that goes to the heart of the matter, because it begins with the assumption that you have a culture, that you are a fellow human being.
Absolutely.
And so it's simply the question of how can I learn about your culture? You learn about my culture. Once we start on that level, we tend to get rid of prejudices.
Right.
Who's superior, who's inferior. So to the extent that we use culture as a vehicle and an arena for the development of people, education and training is very effective.
Wow.
To the extent that you disconnect them, it's not very effective. That's what happened in colonialism. Some of the education and training was purely instrumental. I'm only training you to run this machine to dig out this mineral, as opposed to I'm training you to be a mining engineer in order to build wealth, to build a better society.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
So I taught in education for many years, so I have many opinions.
Okay.
But
Okay.
culture is absolutely critical,
Right.
because it reminds each of us that we are really connected.
Okay. 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 All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, and we are really limited in our timing right now,
Yeah.
but it's really been a fascinating conversation, and I hope, like you said, Global Culture would like to, be a partner as you go ahead in terms of, the future follow-ups,
Yes.
because it's very critical, like I mentioned before we said, that no matter what people do, and if it's not out there in the media,
Yes.
of course, nobody will really appreciate, not only knowing about it. So, Mr. Samble, right, I will ask you in terms of the follow-up. You said this group will meet in December. Now, after this meeting, what is the implementation phases? I know Dr. Foster is going to bring the money in there. Of course, you have other people. We make sure that they're really in place. What is the impact of the diaspora? How are you getting them involved so that there will be kind of a flow of communication?
I think that's very simple. Like you said, is having people like you, having organizations like you where we can reach out to people.
Right.
Because people, if they don't know, they will not be able to be involved.
Absolutely.
And Phelpstock is not one of those organizations that try to market his ideas or our ideas. Phelpstock is an organization that works on the ground.
Right.
We don't take credit of anything. We don't want to sell or impose anything.
Okay.
So we're not selling any idea. But what we're doing is trying to work one by one. We're trying to work on impact and success story.
Right.
We don't want quantity, we want quality.
Quality, okay.
So I think having organization like you will pretty much help us reach out to the community, to the African diaspora, so we can have them involved.
Okay.
But so far, what we're doing pretty much is just small events, one by one, talking to people, talking to individuals, and just seeing how we can select or filter the people who want to be helpful.
Okay. And this is going to be for any of you, Dr. Foster and yourself. I have two things before we round up for today. Number one is what happened today. Today is October 20th. We just saw the fall of someone who has been in power for about 42 years, Mr. Muammar Gaddafi. We now learn that he's either deceased or captured. Now, looking back at this, 42 years is a long time for people to be in power. What message do you have for the public, for the people watching out today, talking about your support for education, using culture as a conduit to make sure that people have successful leadership?
Well, I remember when Gaddafi overthrew the king of Libya. And when he came in with the young officers, many of us were very excited.
Right.
Because it appeared that he had a vision for his society that would elevate it. Over the years, we were disappointed with the results.
Right.
And what does that tell us? It tells us that revolution, the transformation, is not a one-act drama.
Wow.
It goes on and on and on. And so therefore, you may have a moment when you have the sunshine on you. Work hard, because The next moment, it will move to someone else.
Wow.
Now-
Wow. To move to somebody else. We are sorry we are really out of time, but that's
Sure.
a very, very touchy topic for me. I said, we're not going to finish this show without really mentioning that, but we'll be able to call you, come to our set one more time
Yes.
in the near future. Viewers at home, again, this is the end of this session of Global Culture. We've been talking to Dr. Foster, who is the president of Stoke here in Washington, D.C., and Mr. Pape Samb, who is actually the director of the African section of the program with Stokes. We have a couple of announcements. I know we're running out of time. We have a major event coming up December the 2nd. We're having the Holiday Expo, which actually we're going to talk about in the next segment. Ms. Opua, who is our new addition to this program, we'll be talking about what's going on, the city scene. So whatever is happening in your community, send it to us, email us, and we'll be able to really share with you. I'm signing off right now. My name again is Akinwale Ojomo, and I thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming. Looking forward to, and we wish you successful in your
Thank you.
programs.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes.